1997. A year of technological advancements and many historical events, including the Motorola StarTAC, perfecting the craft of the flip phone and solidifying the fundamentals of the cell phone for future innovations. Remember Motorola? Or perhaps the release of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, the first book of the global phenomenon that is Harry Potter, and unfortunately giving its author a limelight to say possible problematic things in the future. Or maybe the release of the fourth highest grossing movie of all time, this being the Titanic. I don't have anything funny to say about that one. That movie's top tier. I can go on and on, but there was one movie that was released this year that fell flat on its face. But hey man, it was released. This movie is of course Spawn. And only 1 year later, we saw Blade. Two movies that are portrayed as rough to say the least. Also, they were both made by New Line, so do with that information what you will. They've had their fair share of hate, but over the years they have also developed somewhat of a cult following. Some people really enjoy these movies. And today we are going to set sail on the journey to find out where I lie along these categories. Not only that, but we are also going to find out once and for all, which is better, Spawn or Blade. This week we'll be comparing the movies based off these categories: story, character design, motivations, or I could say the third act, reworks for the reboot, whichever one requires the least amount of work, and finally, enjoyability. I know about both of these more or less anti-heroes, but I could definitely use some more knowledge. I read a graphic novel of Spawn back in the day, and I read a couple with Blade in them. For instance, Blood Hunt. I read the Blood Hunt series recently. I also have very early memories of me picking up copies of Blade at a local movie rent shop. So I've at least seen the Blade movie, but man, it's been forever. I would typically give you guys the rundown on who these characters really are, but why don't we just let the movies do the talking, shall we? Spawn was the first movie out of the two that I watched. And man, it was a start. The film starts out with our main character, Al Simmons, portrayed by Michael J. White. Al is a CIA operative that goes on this mission to kill some people at an airport. But unfortunately, some civilian lives are also taken. Al's moral compass is telling him that this line of work really isn't for him, considering he has a wife named Wanda at home and the goodest boy, Spaz. Al goes to his superior, Jason Wynn, and tells him that he's through after the problems with the last mission, but he is told to stick with it for one more mission. To which Al replies, okay, let's just get it over with. The mission in question is located at a biochemical weapon plant in North Korea. Al is supposed to go in and take out the weapons and anyone who puts up a fight. But what he was not informed of is that Jason Wynn and assassin Jessica Priest are also there to take him out. He gets backstabbed. Al is sprayed with Nickelodeon slime and is sent to hell.
This is me before getting slime. And this is after I got...
That is when we meet Malebolgia, who in the movie looks like this. And no, I am not lying. The movie had some budget issues, to say the least. You know, I make fun of it for this whole situation, but there are scenes in this movie where it actually looks really good. Spawn's suit, for instance, but let's not get too ahead of ourselves. Malebolgia offers Al a deal to lead his army. In return, we will be able to see our sweet Wanda again. And Spaz, of course. Obviously, Al agrees and we are returned back to Earth, but not in the ideal condition. No. We are crispy. Throughout this intro, we are told by a narrator who ends up being a guy named Cogliostro. I'm gonna call him Cog because that's what his name was in the comics. Cog. C-O-G, not cock. More on that later. He tells us everything. A big lore dump is just shitted out on top of our heads, which I do not appreciate. I'm stupid. I can't just hear something and then take all 100% of it in. Either show me or talk slow. We then learn that 5 years have passed here on Earth. Wanda remarried to Al's best friend Terry, that asshole, and he is now the stepfather of our child Cyan, who was born when we unfortunately died. Now, Terry being the stepfather may seem like a douchey thing at first. At least that's what I thought. But over time in the movie, it's more and more clear that Terry just wants to protect the family rather than swoop in and steal Al's girl. The father figure role in the relationship is apparent, and I appreciate that. I think Al does too over time, so that's pretty cool. Al finds all of this out, and then we are introduced to a clown who goes by the name of the Violator. And if I learned anything in my 21 years on Earth, it's definitely to not trust anyone that goes by a name similar to the Violator. He's also really annoying in this movie.
What does it remind you of, huh? No, naughty boy. Oops. Oh, what?
He doesn't ever shut up. He has a couple of funny lines, but he's really just a demon sent by Malebolgia, I'm just gonna call him Mal, to guide Al to the dark side. It's not actually called the dark side, but they act like it with the war between heaven and hell. You figured? Okay, cool. Yeah, I was just checking. No, yeah, for sure, man. Later on, we meet a mysterious man who glows green named Cagliostro. Remember the narrator? He is a hellspawn just like Al, but has turned to the good side and fights for heaven. They don't really say this in the film, but it's heavily implied whenever we realize who's fighting for who. Our mission is to kill the man that killed us, which is Jason, and then we can see Wanda again. So we prepare to do just that. We are also told that Al is dead, and we are now Spawn. We have a mission, and it needs to be completed. Now, time for more expedition dump. We learn that Jason has built a biochemical weapon called Heat 16, and he plans on letting it loose over the entire world, killing everybody so he can take over. The survivors will have to fight for him in the apocalypse. Why? Who cares? Evil villain does evil villain shit. We go to kill Jason later in the night at some event thing, but we actually fail. I don't know why we had the chance to kill him, but he wanted to rub it in his face who he is, you know, the whole dialogue. You know what you did to me, etc., etc. Still though, I don't know why he didn't just like fly him somewhere else and get him alone and then kill him, complete his mission. But that's what happens. We are further shown what powers lie within Spawn's armor, including his badass cape, which looks really good in this movie in my opinion. I love the way it looks, it's very cool. And it appears that this is where the budget went towards instead of Mal, which is kind of worth it in my opinion. Upon Spawn's body is a necroplasm armor, which to my understanding, it can kind of create anything that Spawn concentrates on and thinks of to protect him. I could be completely wrong, but that's what I took out of it. The Violator influences Jason to get like a heartbeat monitor thing so that if he dies, it sets off the bombs. After seeing Wanda and Science, Spawn starts to realize that maybe he's fighting for the wrong side. Therefore, he is finally fed up with the Violator. Which I would too, because I'm telling you, he never shuts up.
And that's exactly the kind of talk we don't tolerate around here, right, boss?
Enough!
They start to fight and the Violator goes into his true form, which is a big demon thing. And this fight fucking sucks. It's literally just a game of hide and go seek, and then the Violator tosses Spawn into like some spikes. That's it. I'm telling you, it's terrible. Cog talks to Spawn and he shows him how the necroplasm armor works. He tells him that if he concentrates on what he wants it to do, then it will do it. He also shows him how to control his chains that expel from his body. This scene started to get me pretty excited. I wanted to see a Kratos or Punisher kind of storyline, but instead with these badass powers. Is that what we get? The Violator tells Spawn that he and Jason are going to kill his family. When we finally get there, we see that they are already held hostage. Terry before this was sending out an email that was incriminating Jason, and obviously he is not too stoked about this. So we have to act fast. When we pull up on Jason, we get into yet another very boring fight and take out the heartbeat thing out of his body, which I feel like would still set it off. I mean, the device is tracking a heartbeat, so whenever it doesn't track a heartbeat, it blows things up. Whatever. I'm not an engineer by any means, but I would assume that that would not work. With the interruption of Spawn and Cagliostro, Violator sends them both into hell to find him there, and we kill him. If it seems like I'm skimming through this quickly and leaving out a lot of story, I'm really not. It's just either really boring or you can't tell what's happening. After this, Spawn tells Mal that he will never lead Hell's army and the two escape. The portal between Hell and Earth is in the fireplace during this scene, leading me to believe that fire is the portal between Earth and Hell, if I had to guess. Since whenever we got sent to Hell the first time, we were on fire, so. This is kind of cool in my opinion, but it looks super goofy. Also, while they were fighting in Hell, Jason realized that he was being fooled by the Violator to work as his pawn in the grand scheme of things, mainly using him to start the apocalypse, and then Spawn was just gonna kill him anyways. So while they fight in Hell, Jason's just kind of sitting there with the family that he just kidnapped, and I guess, I don't know, probably was just like, hey, sorry about that earlier. I mean, we'll never get the answer on what happened while we were fighting, but I guess we'll never know. After all this, Jason is arrested. Spawn realizes that Terry and Wanda are fit for each other, and he returns with Cagliostro. They also talked about how Cog is getting too old for this, so that might have been implying that Spawn might, in the future, fight for Heaven, rather than just being a new turned hero. But once again, we'll never know. Short review of this movie. It was pretty boring. I didn't mind it. I mean, I kind of, you know, talked my ish on it, but I didn't mind it. It was all right. Will I watch it again in the near future? No, probably won't watch it for a while. I liked Al's character development going from full of vengeance to finding new friends and a new purpose, but I kind of just wish we got more of a Kratos-like storyline. I wanted to see Spawn seek revenge on everybody and still come out with the same ending, but with the second act in the middle just full of fighting with his suit and just badass stuff. We like barely saw the suit in action. All right, we'll dive deeper into this movie later. But for now, let's get into. The intro to this movie is actually pretty sick. We begin at a vampire nightclub, which already sounds pretty interesting. And it is, for sure. Until an unknown man walks in. The vampires exclaim, "It's him. It's the Daywalker," which is of course Blade. Blade kicks some vampire ass and sets one of them on fire, but it doesn't finish the job. When the man is sent to the hospital, the doctors notice that the cadaver is reading signs of possible life still in it. They go to check it out when it kills one of them and bites the other. Blade comes in to finish you off, and then he starts f***ing his. After saving the bit doctor and taking her to our hideout, we learn that she is Dr. Karen Jensen. Blade has a partner in this secret war between the humans v vamps, led by none other than Cardi himself. His name is Whistler. He tells us a little about the war while Karen is treated, but the main takeaway is that they are sensitive to garlic, silver, and sunlight. We are also shown that Blade is a half-blood vampire and his mother died while giving birth. She got bitten while he was in the womb, so that led to him still being born a vampire but not being a purebred since his mom was a human. Did I say purebred? I meant pure blood. Talking like he's a pit bull. After Karen was treated, kinda, a little, she is sent home, but is warned that the vampires are everywhere. Team Edward really got the best of the world. I suppose those Hot Topic teas really did pay off. By the way, Karen gets ambushed at her own apartment by someone who is a human, but he's loyal to the vampires. Cornball. But Blade saves her once again. Karen decides that she is going to stick with Blade because clearly she won't last long without the help. And bonus points, she can probably help us find a cure for the people that got infected. We sit outside her apartment for an undisclosed amount of time, waiting for the assassin to return to his car. And when he does, we follow. This will ideally lead us to the location of the lost pages of the Vampire Bible. Whole lot of red. With this information, we can dive deep on the vampires and get the one up on them once and for all. And it works out just fine. We get to the pages and then get ambushed again. God damn it. Even though we got ambushed, we didn't necessarily leave without any information. Because of someone we met named Pearl, who looks crazy. We learned that Dagon, the leader of this gang of vampires tracking us, wants to get 12 pure blood vampires together, as he is only a half-blood, and use them for a ritual to awaken the blood god. The only problem is that we need Blade's blood. Side note, while getting this information, we had to interrogate Pearl, and we did so using a UV light. And the burning effects in this scene were insane. Which, now that I mention it, the effects in this movie are pretty solid throughout the whole film. Other than a few scenes, of course, and when it's bad, it's pretty bad. It's similar to Spawn in that way, if I'm being honest, but back to the movie. The gang of vampires attack our hideout, killing Whistler, which affects Blade. He's usually a cold hard killer of vampires, and he never really shows emotion, but you can tell he somewhat starts to crack here, especially with him not even wanting to look at Whistler whenever he is all injured before he died. I really like this scene. Karen was also taken in this raid, and with this vengeance on Blade's mind, he goes to kill them once and for all and save Karen. When he does, he takes some bodies, but is eventually subdued after learning that his mother is still alive and that Dagon is the one who bit her.
Don't look so surprised. You spent your whole life looking for the vampire who bit your mother. Well, here I am.
After this, we are relocated to the Temple of Eternal Night, and the ritual is set to begin.
Thanks for the shades.
Dagon's friend tries to warn him about Blade's expertise, and he's not a man to be taken lightly. And Dagon had some lines that actually made me laugh.
Deke, I don't think you understand. I mean, this dude's fucking bad. Like, he's like, you have 20 guys around him. You
Like the sword, yeah, the sword, exactly. Shit, yeah, you throw it in the air, catch it underneath. Exactly. Yeah, shut the fuck up!
I don't know, I just think that's pretty funny. Blade is drained of his blood, but Karen meets with him and allows him to bite her, giving him his energy and vampire abilities back. When we escape, we kill the minions and go to fight Dagon once and for all, until we find out that the ritual has already been completed, and Dagon is a lot more powerful than we hoped. But not to fear, Blade is here, with a funny Mortal Kombat-esque soundtrack in the back. I love this scene, by the way. It's shot well and the combat is actually pretty good. The CG definitely aged poorly, but disregarding that, it's a cool-ass final boss fight. Blade gets to his anti-vampire serum that he takes to subdue his blood cravings and injects it into Dagon, which ends up finally killing him. In the end, Karen offers to cure Blade of his vampirism, but instead asks her to build her a better serum for him, so he can continue kicking vampire ass. And that is Blade, 1998. As far as the story goes, I think both were good. They both have their similarities, they both have their differences, but all in all, I think I'd have to give it to Blade. I feel like Spawn just had so many missed opportunities. And people were in my comments on my shorts saying that, like, you know, I'm too young for it and like I'm hating on Spawn. That's not true. I love Spawn. It's just that the movie definitely could have been a lot more badass, and I understand it's very early in superhero movies. Not really. I mean, there's been superhero movies. These movies are kind of some of the first like actually like serious superhero movies, so I understand they don't want to like put a lot of time into it, blah, 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 whatever. But hear me out. If we got the same intro in just the middle, he hears that he has to kill Jason, and he's like, I'm killing anybody that gets in my way. And then we see like the spikes, and it's like killing people, just all kinds of cool shit with him. Like, it could have been so much better. Make it like a God of War storyline where he's just like, hey, I have a mission and you got to get out of my way or else I'm going to kill you. That's what we should have got. And on the flip side, I feel like Blade was actually thought out, and it had like a problem, find information on the problem, take out the problem. Simple. Is that good? But I felt like it was actually planned, and it had like a hero journey. And also, Blade is just badass, dude. He's so funny in this movie. So yeah, I gotta give it a Blade. Even though Blade was a little long. Blade could have been about like an hour 40, hour 30. Blade looks badass in this movie. Spawn looks badass in this movie. As far as like a movie goes in character design, I think that they're both really good. I think that, you know, Blade looks like he does in the comics. I think he looks faithful. I also think Spawn looks very faithful. Whenever he's on top of the building and like his cape is like going like kind of forward in the wind, that's awesome. Blade is really easy to perfect. You can't really go wrong with Blade. Spawn, on the flip side, I think especially for 1997, he is a lot harder to perfect, and I think that they're pretty close to it. So, I mean, I gotta give it to Spawn, especially the cape. The cape looks so sick. It has like almost like a velvety texture to it. I know it's not velvet, but it's like silky. It's so sick. 100% Spawn gets it. I think you guys know who I'm gonna pick for this. It's just Spawn just falls short, man. It falls on its face when it comes to that. It's like we don't see him much in the suit. He has motivations for sure. They built up his motivations. It's very clear. It's just there's no fight. There's no big fight. He's set up for this big fight. You know, he's like learning his gear. He's learning his new suit. I will say one scene I didn't even talk about in this movie. There's a scene where he's on his motorcycle and the Violator is chasing him. Crazy name. And Blade turns the motorcycle around and he like imagines like a shell over the motorcycle with spikes coming out of it. And it happens and it completely just flips the whole truck. It's so sick. I wish we got more of that. Blade, on the other hand, you know, whenever it enters the third act, we're there with Blade. We're like, let's go. Let's kill all these vampire assholes. And he does it. He does it. Oddly satisfying video. Right there beside like the soap cutting videos. I gotta give it a Blade. It's Blade. It's Blade. Give it a Blade. So as far as the reboots go, both of these movies are supposedly going to have reboots. Put both of them here. Both of these movies are supposed to get reboots. Really hope Jamie Foxx plays Spawn. That'd be badass. Both of them will be badass. I'm excited for both of them. Hope they come out. Don't think they ever will. What would I want to see in a new Spawn movie? I would want to see a revenge plot. I feel like Spawn, that is Spawn. He is a walking revenge plot. You know, the battle of hell and heaven. I feel like we haven't touched on that in a long time in movies. You know, we had like Van Helsing back in the day. We had Spawn. I feel like there was a lot of cool heaven v hell, werewolf, vampire-esque movies in the early 2000s that we just don't touch on anymore. I would really want the movie to lean into that aspect. I think the suit looked great. I think keep the same type of suit, but it's really just the story. I mean, just we need that revenge plot with Spawn. I mean, just make it simple. Make it simple. Make it a revenge movie. That's all we need out of Spawn. As far as Blade, I don't think anything needs to change with Blade. I think we just need another badass like introduction to Blade, and I think we'll be all right. That's the good thing with Blade is that there's really not that much to talk about. I mean, there's like with a reintroduction of a series with Spawn. I mean, you got to talk about the demon side of things, you know, you gotta talk about his death. There's a lot of things you gotta run through and you gotta perfect for a Spawn movie. But for a Blade movie, badass killing vampires, what's up? So, I mean, I gotta give it a Blade. If we only got the first Wesley Snipes Blade movie, and then they were gonna do a second one, like a revamp, I feel like they easily could just do like the same shit. But I don't think that they could do the same shit with a Spawn movie. I don't think they could do just a second one after that. I'm not talking sequel, I'm talking just like a revamp. Like I feel like there was definitely more like tidy up work with Spawn than there is with Blade, so I gotta give it a Blade. Enjoyability. Which movie did I enjoy more? That's the big question we're all asking. I really liked Spawn in the first half, and the story was definitely like interesting, but it's just, there's a little bit like in the tail end of the second act and third act, there's just too much fluff. So I start to, start wanting to doze off. It loses me at the end. It's like it had a perfect story, but it just like kind of feathers away. Not perfect. I mean, it's not perfect, but near the end, I'm like, all right, I could probably watch a different movie about now. But for Blade, the third act is definitely too long for Blade. It could have been shortened. Whenever I'm watching it, I don't think that it's like the scenes that probably didn't have to be in it, they are valuable to the story. So I can't really hate on it that much. There's not a lot of scenes that just didn't need to be in there altogether, but it's just longer than it needs to be. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I think I had more fun with the story of Blade. Wesley Snipes killed it. He was hilarious. There's so many scenes in Blade that can be taken out of context, and it's just like hilarious. I like movies like that. It's the perfect mix of like a serious superhero movie and like a not serious superhero movie, if that makes sense. It's a fun watch. It just is. Spawn is too, but it's just, I mean, I roll my eyes a little bit more at like the Violator. The fighting is just like kind of boring, but in Blade, the fighting's actually really good. It's just like nitpicks like that. I'm not hating on Spawn completely, but Blade is just what Spawn should have been, which is crazy because Blade is probably a more boring character than Spawn. They could have done a lot more with Spawn. I really hope that with the new one, they do that. The idea of Spawn and his story is such a cool idea, and we need a badass movie for that. If you love what we got with Spawn, you love it. Not a problem. You love it. You love the movie. I love the Fantastic Four movies. People don't like that as much. All right, I'm kind of dragging this. But yes, our winner today is Blade. I could definitely see myself watching it again. I really hope the new movies that they come out with both of these characters are badass. I love both of them. I think they're sick. Thank you once again for watching. Sub to the Patreon. You'll pop up on the screen at the end of every single one of my videos. This could be you. So back to what I was saying. And let me know what you think about both of these movies. Are they nostalgic to you? Are they good? Are they bad? Let me know. Let's talk. I see every single comment. Every single comment. I love hearing stories about people watching these movies for the first time, or just individual experiences altogether with the films I talk about in these videos. So if you have some, share it with the class. I love it. It's sick.
Badass killing vampires. What's up?